After seeing a fantastic masterclass between Matt Dritter and Brandon Plank last week at Weedsport, we begin the second half of the MRDR iRacing Series season tonight from the virtual dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Welcome into the broadcast, everybody. My name's Joe Donahue. I am here, as always, alongside my very handsome co-host, Jonathan Howe, and we are here for 47 Technology Night with the MRDR iRacing Series. Jonathan Howe, a pleasure to have you back with us. We're used to having this week off, and I think a lot of drivers in our series maybe initially forgot, but we are indeed racing on the eve of Christmas Eve.
Yeah, and you know what? Christmas Eve, we're in my neck of the woods. It looks like a snow globe outside right now. We've got a beautiful amount of snow falling, at least in my eyes. I love the snow, so things looking pretty picturesque out my window, but Charlotte looking pretty good in the virtual world tonight, and I think we're going to see one heck of a show.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good around here. The track looks good, and this is always a track that looks really good for this series. I think that even though it's maybe not necessarily designed for modifieds, this is a racetrack that kind of bodes with them and races well with them, especially races well with them, and I'm excited to see what we have at the end of the program tonight. Jonathan, I took a couple practice laps around the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway here in the iRacing platform before we got into this, and I will say, honestly, I thought it was a little easier to run in the slick than in the tacky, and I thought that was interesting, and it makes sense because of how long these corners are. I don't know if there are any other racetracks that we go to on this calendar that the corners feel and are as long as they are here at Charlotte.
No, it's a unique track for sure, Joe, and it's definitely one where keeping that momentum up is going to be key. But I find with how wide the racetrack is that it gives you a lot of room to play with. Now, when I play it over on the console side of things, I'm usually right down on the bottom side of the racetrack. That's just where I've seemingly enjoyed running the most with Charlotte. But I think we're going to see drivers use all the space. Rotate up, down, run different lines, different laps, but ultimately I feel like the top side is probably going to be the most dominant side because I feel like that's where you're going to be able to really keep the power wound up, as we see a lot of guys usually kind of running the middle groove right now, at least in these practice sessions. We'll see what qualifying brings, as obviously the shortest way around the racetrack is on the low side. I'm interested to see if anybody elects to go down there for a quick lap.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they're all running up at the top. They must just be getting a little bit of practice in, because I've thought that the bottom was much easier to run and faster to run at that, for at least when the track's in its younger state. Like I said, I did some practice laps myself. I thought it was a little bit harder to drive the corners when they're tacky because the car's either too tight or too loose. At least that was how I did it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a modified driver. A lot of these guys are, so they're probably going to figure out a way around this track better than I did. Practice ends now, and qualifying will begin. 5 minutes for each driver to do 2 laps around this facility and try to set themselves up for a good starting position in their heat races. I think we had 21 on the docket for tonight's program, so we will not need a consolation race. That will help with the timing and get everybody out and on their merry way in a reasonable amount of time this evening from BRPtv. Happy to bring it to you here. And without further ado, Jonathan, let's bring it into qualifying, and let's check out the guy who was the fastest in practice in Anthony Rosselli, who has a win to his name already at Volusia, another kind of wide, long track. See if that translates into tonight's show.
Yeah, certainly one of the drivers who's made probably the loudest amount of noise, or most amount of noise throughout the season consistently. That 7 car, always fast. And we'll see, again, Joe, even though we don't have a consi, it's going to be super important, I think, to start at the sharp end of the field and post as quick a time as you can, as you see Rosselli go right to the top of the board there, followed behind Rayom and DeRitter. Dean Reynolds also with a good time.
Absolutely. A couple more guys out on the racetrack. Dan Smith missed last week in the 57 car. He's back with us. He goes to second quick on the board. That's kind of surprising. He passed Rayom and DeRitter and Reynolds up there as well after taking that last week off. That 57 car looking pretty solid. Brandon Plank goes to 7th fastest with his first lap. Got a couple more guys out on the track. Cody Harris, a name that we haven't really talked about so far this season. There are some of these newer names that have really been standing out. Cody Harris is one of the guys that's working that learning curve a little bit. He hasn't quite had the speed this season to compete, say, for top 10s, but he's getting better every week, and right now, at least for the moment, he's sitting in the top 10 for qualifying.
Yeah, and we've seen that this series is no joke, as we see Kevin Go and Brewer go up inside the top 3 as well. Only 3 drivers have broken into that 15-4 bracket right now. Roselli, Brewer, and Co. And I think that's going to be where you really want to be. You want to be in that 15-4 range if you want to start up towards the front of this field. I think that's what it's going to take to probably start top 5 when it's all said and done, I think.
I don't know if you're going to get past Anthony Roselli. I'm wondering if that's our fast qualifier time. Mike Brewer went second quick. Brewer has 3 for 4 so far of fast qualifyings this season. The only one he did not get the fastest qualifying for was Cedar Lake, and that went to Anthony Roselli. So those 2 guys looking pretty solid at the top, although Dylan Smith, the guy on your screen right now, just set the 3rd fastest lap time in a very good-looking 15S car. It's simple, but I love the colors in that number, that nice little gradient between sort of those neon, retro, radioactive, cyberpunk-looking colors of like a light blue and a purple. Dylan Smith's looking like he's in pretty good step tonight with the colors.
Yeah, I'd say so. You know, I thought that car looks sharp. This is a driver I'm interested to see, the Catfish. Well, you know, if anybody's going to be running down on the bottom side, it's probably going to be this guy. Can he break in that 15-4 range and jump up inside the top 5? Doesn't look like Isley's going to get there. No.
Wow, he's 16th quick, Jonathan. That is pretty slow, honestly. I'm kind of surprised at that.
Yeah, that one's a bit puzzling, especially because I saw him down on the bottom side of the racetrack. I thought that might be, you know, a bit of a faster line to run. We'll see what Slider's got here to end us off. He's the last driver I think still needs to take a time. And yeah, that was a puzzling one, but Anthony Roselli lays it down early. That 15-4-2-0, that is going to stand, I think, to be your pole, as it looks like Slider's going to need to pick up at least a second, I think, to make some noise. Yeah, at least a second is where he's going to need to go. Well, maybe at least a half second, I should say.
He's not going to do it. Yeah, Dylan, not exactly the fastest qualifier we've got in the series, and unfortunately, he is going to stay at the bottom. So we had 2 more additional entries sort of late after I said 21, so we fill up at 23 drivers for the night. We are going to have 3 heat races coming at you, 8 laps apiece. They will have 8, 8, and 7 in the starting lineups, and the first group is lined up and ready to go, and we'll go ahead and bring that starting order to you. Anthony Roselli from the pole in car number 7. He's the fastest qualifier for the night. Kenny Coe to his outside in the 22C has a win earlier this season. Alongside Roselli also has a win, so those 2 guys are going to look to go out and see if they can double up tonight. Going from 3rd place, Dan Smith in the 57 car had a really great qualifying run for him, and Jeff Sharp to his outside in the 28 machine. Scotty Signs on the side of that car that we're used to seeing in this series. Dean Meitzler, another guy we're used to seeing in this series out of Pennsylvania. The Dirt Defender number 49 goes 5th, and 6th to his outside. Ran the bottom side in qualifying. The Catfish, Gavin Isley, will be P6. Glenn Sharp in the 99 car goes from 7th place on the grid, and to his outside, the only predominantly yellow car in the field of drivers we have this season is the number 27 of Sean Green. He will go from shotgun on the field. Jonathan, we have our drivers lined up and ready to go for 8 laps around this track. One more pace lap, one more little pace lap for us to prepare for what we should be seeing here in this heat race. I'm not expecting too much, honestly. I don't know about you, but the track's just a little too tacky for anything major to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's going to be tough for those drivers towards the back to make any kind of ground up, but I want to see how wide they take it already, you know. This Charlotte racetrack's got a lot of room to run, and I feel like you got to use all of it if you want to move up, especially I'm watching Gavin Isley there on the outside of row number 3. He's going to be the one to watch, I think, in this race, and let's see if he can make anything happen there. As the green flag waves, we're underway from Charlotte. Roselli down low. I love this camera shot here. That's almost like a drone cam that we have around Charlotte. This is an awesome view, and you can really see how close they can get right down to the edge, right by those tire barriers there. Almost looks like Roselli was going to clip it for a second there, but he's out to a good start there, Joe.
Absolutely. First lap from the drone cam. Anthony Roselli leads the way pretty easily over Kenny Coe. Jeff Sharp there in 3rd on the outside of Dan Smith. That is a battle for third between those two guys. Gavin Isley trying to poke his nose in that mix as well, but unfortunately for him, I don't think he's got many options there, Jonathan. He's kind of running in the middle. Dan Smith going low, Jeff Sharp going high, and he's got a rolling wall in front of him because he can't go anywhere around him.
Yeah, no, both lanes definitely blocked up. He's trying to make the bottom side of the racetrack work, and it is working. It's just a matter of if he can get to the inside of Smith there in the 57. He's alongside Sharp now, so he will break up inside that position. Now, normally the top 4 spots would lock you in, but everybody's going to make a show. We don't have a consi scheduled for tonight, so it doesn't really matter where you finish in this one. As long as you finish towards the front of it, you're going to have a good track position to start the feature.
Yes, and you want that desperately because every position that you make up in the heat races is equivalent to 3 starting positions in the feature, and the closer you are to the front, the less trouble you're going to have, the easier run you're going to have to get to the front. Gavin Isley trying to capitalize on it right now. He's still battling with Jeff Sharp for the 4th spot. There's a bonus point in it for 4th place in the heat races, so he also might be thinking about that, but predominantly he's probably thinking about track position. Dan Smith still holding on to 3rd, Kenny Coe 2nd, and your leader coming to the white flag, Anthony Roselli, putting on a masterclass at the front in the 7 car.
Yeah, Roselli really letting him know, letting him show that this is going to be the car to beat here tonight. Was fastest in qualifying and now has about, we'll call it a quarter of a straightaway advantage over top of Kenny Coe, who also turned a good time, has been competitive in this series, but it looks like he and everybody else is going to have a lot of work to do if they're going to contend with Roselli tonight.
Yep, that is Anthony Roselli, Kenny Coe, Dan Smith, Jeff Sharp at the end of it, and I agree 100% with what you just said, Jonathan. Anthony Roselli just showed everybody he is not playing around with Charlotte. 47 technology night here, so we'll have to see if maybe one of these 8 can come out and show him that he's not all that, but we'll see if they can. Row number 1 for the second heat race of the night starts on the inside with the 39B of Mike Brewer. He has been fast this season. As I said, he's now 3 for 5 on fast qualifiers, but he will still go from the pole in this one. To the outside of him is going to be Dominic Roselli in the Fansickle Electric number 80 machine. On the inside of row number 2, the FTM Express. Number 4, Scott Rayom, a rookie to this series this season, and a guy who's definitely not a rookie, representing Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, the Murder Graphics 03 car of Matt DeRitter. Starting on the inside of row number 3, the Phase 3 Racing number 60 car. We're used to seeing him as part of this. Always happy to see Brian Berger in the field. And to his outside, the defending winner from last time, Brandon Plank in the car 77X. The inside of row number 4 sees Brian Lawson in the 9 car, new to this series. He's had some pretty solid runs, and he's had some runs that he might want to forget about. We'll see if he can make tonight one of those big moments for him. And to his outside, did not have a good run in qualifying, the number 71 car, Highside Motorsports, is Dylan Slider. That's your rolling lineup. 1 to go from the flag stand, ready to start the second heat race of the night. And Jonathan, I'm actually really surprised. It took me a second to think about this, but the low side did not work, and it didn't work in qualifying, I should say, and it did work in the first heat race. What do you think that's all about?
You know what? I don't think I've got an answer, Joe, because I really was perplexed. I thought the bottom side of the racetrack would have been the preferred line for taking a fast lap, but maybe it's just that you need so much more speed, I think, to carry to get off that corner, whereas in the middle you can carry that much more in. So maybe that's where it happens on the timing. Oh, we got cars stacking up. There is an early incident in this one. Is that Rayom that went around? I think so, in the 4 car.
Yep, that's Scott Rayom. Brian Lawson, Brandon Plank did not get anything good out of that. I think Dylan Slider is actually the next in line. Obviously, Scott Rayom, he just brings it back to the pits now. He's going to give up on the heat race. The worst end of it goes to the 4 car, but a little bit of contact all around is what sent him down into some other cars, contact backwards, and he just gave up on it. From that point forward, there wasn't really anything he was going to do to recover this heat race. Unfortunate for the 4 car. He's going to be starting from the tail end of the feature lineup. I think he's going to be possibly last. Dylan Slider actually also had to reset after the contact. That leaves a big mess around the track for everybody else. Mike Brewer leads the heat race. Dominic Roselli did not get a good start, but he holds on to second, and Matt DeRitter hustling him for that second position now with Brandon Plank. He's right there breathing down his neck in that 77X car, Jonathan.
Certainly is, and I think Dominic Roselli kind of hasn't had the year that he wants to have, but I feel like maybe tonight is one of those nights that he can really get in the mix and be right there with his brother Anthony when it comes to the battle. Plank, of course, having a tight battle there with DeRitter as we got 3 to go, Joe. Plank, of course, definitely could be a threat. We saw him get right up on the podium real early into his tenure back with the series.
Yeah, Brandon Plank's a very strong driver with this series. Got tons of wins to his name. Probably should be a champion, but he's never really been able to run a full season to contend for one. Mike Brewer bringing us to the white flag this time. They're running right in line. Brandon Plank, Matt DeRitter staying in touch. Dominic Roselli definitely strong as well. I would agree with you, Jonathan. Dominic probably hasn't had the start to the season he's wanted, but tonight might be an opportunity for him. His brother's damn fast. We'll see if he is too. But coming to the checkered flag, the second heat race of the evening is going to go to the 39B of Mike Brewer over Dominic Roselli, Brandon Plank, and Matt DeRitter. Nice run to the finish for Brian Lawson, getting P5 as well. Unfortunately, Dylan Slider finishes 1 lap down, and Scott Rayom does not come across the line with that wreck on the first lap. Not the way you want to start your night off.
No, not ideal necessarily, but hey, you know what? You can quickly put that away, get back at it, and slowly but surely maybe make your way forward in this one.
Definitely an opportunity. Definitely a possibility. There is plenty of time once we get to the heat race. Or the feature, excuse me. We got to get there first. We'll start with the pole position of the final heat race of the night, driving the 15S car. Dylan Smith out of Pine Bush, New York, with his first pole position in a heat race with this series. Fantastic to see him doing so. Cody Higbee, past champion of this series. Handsome Devil Barbecue on the side of the Iceless 97 from second place on the grid. Joe Matthews back with us again. Happy to see him out of Troutman, North Carolina. We'll go from third, and from fourth place on the grid, representing the Super Dirt Car Series in car number 79, is Dirt Car Dean Reynolds. Starting on the inside of row number 3 is fifth place, starting 84, RK, the big dog, Auckland Insurance RK Automotive on the side for Ryan Beagle. Starting P6 in this one. In the 20 machine, going to be Cody Harris. And rolling from shotgun in car number 16 is Mr. Excitement out of Brockville, Ontario, Matt Barber. So Dylan Smith from the front row, from the pole, in a fantastically simple yet effective 15S looking machine. Going to be exciting to see what he can do, because I don't think he's ever gotten clean air in anything he's done with this series, actually, Jonathan. He's never been from the front before.
No, not usually, right? It's going to be... I talked to a couple of drivers about this, and usually it's a younger driver in real racing, in the real world, where they're, is it intimidating to have the whole field behind you? What do you worry about? And a lot of drivers don't necessarily feel that intimidation. We'll see what happens here tonight, because there is a hungry pack right here, and Higbee on the outside hanging tough there. Could take the top spot away from that outside line, I think. If he can pull this run off, I think he's going to do it.
Yeah, Cody Higbee absolutely timed that start perfectly. I want to give credit to Dylan Smith for a good start, but you got to give all the credit to Cody Higbee. That was a fantastic run off the line. We're going to go ahead and go back to our favorite, that drone cam. Let's see what it looks like from above as Dean Reynolds drives around the outside of Dylan Smith as well. And look at Cody Harris getting into the picture here. He's up to fourth place.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think Dylan Smith did anything wrong. I think that was just all about how Cody Higbee raced him and really didn't give him a lot of room downstairs, and had to, you got to carry your speed on the corner entry to keep up with the guy on your outside. And I think Smith just maybe learned a little bit of a lesson there from Higbee. Good to see Harris up in this battle. Matthews right there, and a guy who's been a little bit quiet this year is the big dog, Ryan Beagle. We'll see if he can maybe have a great night at Charlotte, a place I do believe he has a win at, or has at least had a couple good runs in this series in the past at.
Yeah, I don't remember if he exactly won as we go on board with Cody Harris here. He's got Mara. Oh, how cute is that? I'm assuming Mara is going to be a girlfriend for Cody Harris. That's sweet. Give him some credit for that on stream, so we make the girl happy. This is where Ryan Beagle won his championship, when he won the title 2 years ago, was at this facility. So this is a special place for Beagle because of that as well. And it's not looking super special for him tonight. Oh, man, we got a little battle going on back here for these last 3 drivers. Matthews is not somebody that we're used to seeing at the tail like this, nor is Beagle for that matter. So I'm sure they're not too thrilled about what's going on. But up front, guy who we're pretty used to seeing up at the front, and he's used to leading us to white flags and checkered flags, Cody Higbee controlling heat race number 3 this evening. I think we're actually coming to the checkered flag this time, Jonathan. Cody Higbee's going to win it.
Yeah, he will, and that's, you know what, if there's going to be anybody out there that can battle with Anthony Roselli, I believe it might be that 97 car. We'll have to see how that battle shapes up, because both are going to have great track position for the start of this one just after we go through our warm-up session.
It seems like we have a Consolation, although we don't need it. Because we start...
Maybe just for the seating of the back half of the grid from 16th on back,
that must be what this is about. We must be having... It must be something about the Consolation setting the grid and something within iRacing, which I always say this when we have something weird happen. This is a video game. Things are weird. They happen sometimes. So we're going to be setting the grid for the starting the feature. And you know what? Actually, I'll say this as they roll off and roll past you to get ready. This is really helping Scott Rayom. This is a second life for that 4 car, Jonathan.
Yeah, you know what? This is a chance to move a little bit further forward. It's still not going to be great track position, but every car you can make up a spot on and pass in this race is going to get you that much more closer towards the front. And we know that Rayom's been speedy. He's had some good results this year already. So, I mean, maybe now is the time to capitalize and get yourself back in it with some decent track position.
Yeah, and I just think this is a big opportunity for him. I mean, you're going from starting 23rd to having an opportunity to start. If he gets all the way to the front, he could go from 13th. Now, I don't anticipate he's going to do that, but I mean, this is going to get him a couple rows closer to the front if he can capitalize. Gavin Isley going to go from the pole for this Consolation that we're not kicking anybody out from. Brian Lawson to his outside, then Ryan Beagle and Dean Meitzler in row 2. Brian Berger, Joe Matthews make up row 3. Sean Green and Dylan Slider in row 4. Matt Barber, Glenn Sharp in row 5. And like we said, Scott Rayom going to go from 11th in row number 6. Green flag coming out. This is 10 laps to the finish, and Gavin Isley leads us to him.
Isley out front early. The big dog wasting no time. That's Ryan Beagle in the 84 Arcade moving his way forward as well in this one and trying to keep towards the sharp end of the field here and reduce the amount of work he'll have to do later on in the night come feature time. 10 laps to go already and 9 now. We've got Isley well in front of this one, but Beagle holding off Lawson and Matthews, the pair 9s chasing down the big dog.
That is Brian Lawson and Joe Matthews side by side there as they come back to the line. Joe Matthews gets the advantage. Man, oh man, a home race for him, and he's showing what he's got. I don't think you could have stuck a piece of paper in between Joe Matthews and the outside wall there. He's on it. Oh no, contact behind him. Matt Barber going around, and he saves it. But oh man, at what cost?
They're still stacking up.
Dylan Slider in the outside wall there again. Contact, and more contact in this feat. Consolation, third time's a charm.
Yeah, good battles happening here and continuing to battle towards the back half of the field, but up at the front, mostly single file. Rayom really has not been able to come forward as like we thought he might. He's still stuck battling towards the back half of the field.
Looks top dominant right now. Looks like there's pretty much only one place to be on the racetrack. Gavin Isley even showing that to us. We call him the Catfish because of how willing and quick he is, and good, mind you, at that as well, at running the bottom side of the racetracks when we go out. But he's staying to the top here. He's good at anywhere. I mean, he knows when to go high, he knows when to go low. A Performance Automotive car is known to be one of the first and one of the more successful at changing lines. And he is staying where he is. That might tell you that we're staying up top for this Consolation. Ryan Beagle in second there. Joe Matthews coming just barely into the picture. He might make a run at the 84 RK for second place here. Slide job incoming, Jonathan.
Yeah, I think this is actually a track that's setting up to be very slide job dominant. I think that's going to be what happens to get yourself a win later on. I think we're going to see a lot of cars do exactly what those nines are doing right there. As Lawson dives to the low side. I thought he might be able to slide right up in front of Matthews, but Matthews really kept the momentum up. But as that top side fades, I think that's going to result in maybe, you're not going to be able to carry them as much momentum through the racetrack. You're going to get bogged down, and I think the slider might work. Beagle takes a run to the low side of the racetrack, but he's not going to get there. Isley's going to win this B main over Beagle and Matthews, rounding out your podium.
Yep. Joe Matthews third, Brian Lawson fourth, and like you said, Scott Rayom did not capitalize, and he only moved himself one spot closer. He's going to go from 22nd on the grid when we get to the feature, which will be on the flip side of this warm-up session, which is going to be 5 laps of downtime. The race control team is going to figure out the amount of time that they find suitable to let these drivers hit the track and work it in for the feature tonight. This is 47 Technology Night here from Charlotte, and then at some point they'll call it off, and we'll have a little bit of peace and quiet before we get ready for our feature tonight. Jonathan, as we always do, we got to thank our partners and sponsors of BRPtv and the MRDR iRacing series, Murder Graphics, the namesake of the series. Matt DeRitter working on graphics and whatnot for iRacing and real race cars. Murder Graphics is the host of this series. They have been part of painting cars in this series for many years, and some of the cars, even in your shot, like the Jeff Sharp machine, the 03, obviously, of Matt DeRitter. Murder Graphics shown to you. It's proven through these broadcasts. Matt knows what he's doing with that. And MRDR Designs, which is a creative system for branding. It is Matt's baby as well. Matt DeRitter does a lot of work for just small businesses and people who want to brand themselves with the graphics he creates. So props to Matt for being a part of that, and Murder Graphics and MDR Designs for sponsoring and partnering with the series. Creative Turnings out of Connecticut. It's kind of late, very late, to get a Christmas gift, but you can go onto Facebook and check out Creative Turnings. It's woodworking, lathing, pens, specialties like that. BRPtv, that's us. We've been bringing these broadcasts to you for, I think, 2 years now, and we've been enjoying it every time that we come together, Jonathan Howe and I in the booth. You can check out all of our socials in the description below. Southern Ontario Dirt Show, that's the podcast from Mr. Howe. He's a big part of this program and that program. Anywhere that you get your podcasts, go check out the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. They keep you in check with the dirt scene up north, which is good for some of us like myself when I'm preoccupied with my own Pennsylvania dirt scene. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show keeps me in the know on what's going on just on the other side of the border. And last but not least, 47 Technology, 3D printing services, and the title sponsor for tonight. There's a link in the description to take you to check out what's live and what's new, and feel free to reach out to 47 Technology for any custom opportunities with 3D printing as well. That gets us about 2 minutes to go, Jonathan. They're working in this track pretty darn tootin' to get it in good racing form, even though you kind of already called out that you thought it was in pretty good shape already.
Yeah, I thought it might be a little bit topside heavy, but I thought, with 40 laps on the board, I think that was enough time that they would burn off the top side of the track, make that bottom side at least a place where you can make passes, make some dive bomb moves, maybe some slide jobs. But now I'm seeing cars kind of run all over the place, and I think these guys really are going to end up widening out this groove, and I'm not sure where the top or where the dominant line is going to be, whether it be top or bottom.
Well, okay, here's another question. Past the point where there's dominance in a line, like, you work in the top, then the bottom becomes the tacky part. You go down there and you work that in, and then it all gets worked in. What line do you start taking?
I think if it's all if it's all kind of the same, I have a hard time not electing to take that outside and keeping that momentum wound up through the corners. I don't know that it's going to be the maneuver, but it might just be the maneuver that's going to be able to at least keep you from getting past. I don't know if it's the place where you go to make passes, but I definitely think it's definitely the line to play if you want to play defense.
That's fair. And I ask that because it changes at different racetracks, and this is a track that I'm not 100% sure that I know which one it would be. Like Lernerville, for example. That's easy. It's the top. You go back up to the cushion. Other tracks like Lanier, Where do you go linear? You go to the bottom. Short way around, it's the easy way around. This track, I don't know. There's a big difference between how long around you go to the top side and the bottom. But at the same time, like, you lean on it a bit here, Jonathan. You really do kind of have a cushion up there that you can ride pretty easy.
Yeah, certainly seems like the outside of this racetrack is, you know what, I think because of how wide it is and how long those corners are too, it almost feels like you don't have to really put as much arc into it. I don't know if that's how it feels or if maybe that's just what I experienced from the controller side of things with the console setup. But anytime I've driven this in the World of Outlaws iRacing console game, it really feels like when you get on that top side of Charlotte, it's almost like if you're ripping the top side at like Michigan or one of those big sweeping 2-mile NASCAR style racetracks where you can kind of just put a little bit of arc in the steering wheel, but you're not constantly fighting it to try to wrap around the corner.
Interesting, because I felt like I was fighting to keep going in the corner, at least when the track was tacky. But, I mean, we're not going to have to, we shouldn't have to worry about that from here on out. So, interesting. Well, good takes from Jonathan Howe. It's time for all of us to check out and see if these 23 drivers will abide by it or if they find something new to play with here at the dirt track at Charlotte for 47 Technology Night. We got them lined up and ready to go for our 40-lap main event tonight. Anthony Roselli going to be starting from pole position in car number 7. He's got Mike Brewer, who won heat race number 2, to his outside, and then Cody Higbee will go from 3rd in the 97, your heat race number 3 winner this evening. Kenny Coe, championship leader, will go from position number 4, and Dominic Roselli on the inside of row number 3 will go from 5th, looking for his first win of the season. Great starting spot for Dean Reynolds in the 79 car. He's got a win to his name at this series a couple years ago at Williams Grove. We'll see if he can find something special at Charlotte tonight. Dan Smith, a good qualifying run in the 57 car. He goes from 7th place on the grid. To his outside, the traditional lacrosse number 77X of Brandon Plank. Definitely one to watch this evening. Dylan Smith from 9th on the grid. Good starting position for the 15S car. And to his outside, rounding out the top 10, going to be Jeff Sharp. 11th on the grid is Matt Dritter in the 03 machine. To his outside will be Cody Harris in the orange, blue, and white number 20. Gavin Isley, the Performance Automotive 18, from 13th on the grid. And 14th on the grid, going to be the big dog, Ryan Beagle. From 15th, going to be the number 9, the blue number 9, of Joe Matthews. And to his outside will be the white and red 9 of Brian Lawson. Brian Berger from 17th in the 60. Sean Green in the 27 and 18th. 19th for Dean Meitzler. Matt Barber in 20th. 21st for Glenn Sharp. Scott Rayom in 22nd. And Dylan Slider plays shotgun for the 23 drivers for 40 laps around the dirt track at Charlotte. It's go time. It's time to wait for Barney in the flag stand and Anthony Roselli. And we have waved off the start. We're going to go around one more time. This is the first time that's happened with this series, I think, Jonathan.
Yeah, I don't recall having a start waved off. I wonder if maybe we have a driver out of order, a couple drivers squabbling. It doesn't look like anybody's contesting a starting spot, so not sure what the issue is.
I think what we might, I don't know if we're waiting for the pace truck or what the deal was there, but yep, we had to go around one more time, so we're going to come to the green this time. We made you wait for it. The anticipation had to build. We had to get you ready, and in the Christmas spirit, we got 40 laps. Anthony Roselli brings it to us. The green flag's out. Let's go racing at the dirt track of Charlotte.
Much better start that time as Roselli is clear. Cody Higbee did not get the start that he necessarily wanted to keep pace. Neither did Brewer, but both drivers are going to have to clear one another if they're going to set their sights on that Roselli machine.
Something happened to Kenny Coe off of the start. That might have been why we had that delay. Kenny Coe, he joined the track late. He's going to be running in 22nd position now, 22nd, because Dylan Slider pulled off the racetrack already. So we're already down to 22 drivers, and it must have been some sort of connection issue or something for the 22 car, and that is not the way you wanted to start the night off.
Yeah, almost like he started from pit lane. As we see Brewer attempt the low side, almost went too low there, might clip the tire, and that bounced him around a little bit. We'll see if that affects him at all. Now, down on the bottom side, here we see Dean Reynolds almost making the middle groove work. I thought he might split the difference. Cody Higbee is the car down low in that 97 machine. Everybody fighting over second spot. And right now, you got to sort that out quick if you're going to keep up with Roselli, because if they keep fighting the way they are, Roselli might be able to get away and give himself a nice, comfortable margin.
Roselli definitely working a nice one already, and Mike Brewer finally has a little bit of breathing room here from Cody Higbee and Dean Reynolds, that he can start putting together some lap times and catch back up to A-Rose up front. Brandon Plank rounding out your top 5 right now. A very strong start for him. He got a gifted starting position from Kenny Coe's issues. Dean Reynolds putting on a battle for 3rd place. Man, tonight's looking good for Dean Reynolds. I hope it stays that way for him. Not a guy we're used to seeing contend in the top 3 every single night, but definitely a name to watch in this series. And every once in a while, you get a nice shining evening for this car. I don't remember exactly. I'm going to go look it up because he might actually have gotten a good run in here last year. I'm going to pull up my stats on what happened in 2023 and just checking what happened at. We didn't run here last year, actually. It was 2 years ago. And no, 2 years ago, he did not have a good night. So, wow, good for Dean Reynolds.
Yeah, Dean, of course, Dirt Car Dean, an integral member of the Super Dirt Car Series, and a big part of putting on the World Finals here at Charlotte for Dirt every single year. It's a great way to kind of cap off the Dirt season and crown a champion in the Big Block Series, which is, of course, a series I follow very closely. Kind of a hometown boy for us. Matt Williamson picked up the title in that series this year. We'll see if he can back that up in 2025. And, well, a few more months we got to wait before those big blocks return to the real racetrack, and a long time before we see them back at Charlotte. But right now, Dean Reynolds doing a good job representing Dirt Car in the Super Dirt Car Series, riding there in the 3rd spot. We basically see the field start to get single file, at least through the front 5. And that's interesting. I think this might allow Brewer to start clicking off some laps. We'll see how much better Roselli really is than the rest of the field, because he's been fast, but he's only ever had to be fast in short spurts. We haven't seen him run more than 10 laps in a race so far. Now that we're 13, 14 laps into them, let's see if Roselli's strategy, the way he drives the race car, the way he attacks the track, if that really kind of bogs him down in any sort of way, Joe.
I will have to wait and see if that comes into play. I'm not seeing anything. I'm surprised, and this really hurts Kenny Coe that we have such clean racing all over the place. I mean, the middle of the field is actually very exciting right now. We should watch this for a little while. Ryan Beagle, Gavin Isley, Sean Green, Matt DeRitter, Joe Matthews, Cody Harris, Matt Barber all in this mix. There's a lot of cars in a small proximity with each other, but we have gotten 15 laps into this without a caution, and man, Kenny Coe needs one. He needs to get himself reset and back in this action if he wants to get some points and contend that championship lead still, and it is not going his way thus far, but it also is allowing Anthony Roselli to just mooch off of this lead he's built and up front have no issues, and he can just focus on running a good line and making good time.
I'm watching that bottom side of the racetrack. In particular, Ryan Beagle is the driver that's working down there the most, and it seems like the bottom side's working pretty good. Now, in terms of running a shorter line, that's definitely why I think this line is working, because you're not really getting a lot of drive off, and it doesn't seem like Beagle's really sending it in. Now he elects to take the middle groove.
Oh, look out!
And he'll slide up, and there goes the caution, maybe.
Yep.
I think that's going to be at least multiple cars involved, as we've got cars wrecking on the front stretch.
Yep.
There it is. The yellow flag is out.
Yes,
and
it is.
what a shame for Harris.
Damn. Yeah, he did have a really good run going up to this point. Cody Harris is going to be the one to bring out that yellow flag that we were waiting on, or at least Kenny Coe was waiting on, and we'll have to pull back a replay and see what happened with car number 20. Again, it looked like a little bit of a lag spike might have been the catalyst for this, as we'll go backwards and check out what happened with that car. And we're sideways here, so let's do again, and let's go from TV1. And I think we're going to see him disappear. Yeah, there it went. And then he'll come back, and when he comes back, the time that Sean Green has to react is just not enough. That 20 car comes across the racetrack right in front of him. He spins out. He does not hit DeRitter. He doesn't hit Rayom. Actually, he might have barely clipped Rayom. And he comes to a full stop right at the start-finish line. No, I don't think there's any damage to that car, honestly. I'm not expecting any damage at all, Jonathan.
No, it looked pretty clean ultimately. It definitely is an incident that could have been worse. I thought for sure the way he was turning back across the racetrack, somebody might T-bone him. Somebody might be an innocent bystander in that, but not as much carnage as I thought that might lead to.
Yep. Glenn Sharp's being scored as the leader for the second. I think I wonder what's up with the 99 car, if it's just timing and scoring being goofy. That is exactly what it is. So Anthony Roselli loses that entire lead, which is super unfortunate for him. And Kenny Ko is back in action, which is super fortunate for him. So right at about at the halfway point of this one, everything changes, Jonathan. And the green flag's going to come out this time, double file back to it. Anthony Roselli in control. Good restart for him, but this is just completely 180 this race.
Definitely a big change to this one, and now we see Brewer starting to work over Roselli on the low side. I was surprised to see Roselli give up the bottom side, but obviously he feels really confident that he can clear and get to the top spot once again, just like he does at a corner 4, Joe.
Oh,
I think we got another caution.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm not sure who this is for. Got to check if it's Dylan Slider rejoining the racetrack or Kenny Ko causing some sort of issue. He's a lap down. What happened to Kenny Ko? Oh man, something crazy going on here. I don't think it's Cody Harris. Let's try Kenny Ko, or is it? Oh no. Well, honestly, I have no idea what's going on with Kenny Ko right now. I think they're trying to get him back onto the lead lap, because I think that the reason this caution came out was because of that spike that I saw too, because nothing happened on the racetrack. There was no contact or spin or anything. I think this is a reaction to Glenn Sharp being scored as the leader temporarily, which didn't make any sense to me either. So I kind of get it. It might have been a little knee-jerk to do that, but it is all fair because we got to make sure timing and scoring's right.
Yeah, that was, you know a little bit more than me with your experience in the actual game, Joe, but a little bit of a strange incident for sure to have that happen. It'll be interesting to catch up, too, with Matt DeRitter and some of the other guys who are kind of weighing in and helping to officiate these races from the lobby as to what exactly happened there.
It would be. I'm tempted. Well, we're going back to green. If we had more time, I would be tempted to bring Matt DeRitter into the booth really quick and ask for his comment, but we are not going to do that because we are double file, and we'll probably have another go-around, maybe 2. I don't think 2, but maybe we'll have another go-around, and then we'll go green for these guys. But, yeah, this kind of stuff happens sometimes, and, I mean, it's definitely unexpected. There's no reason for timing and scoring to have picked up Glenn Sharp as the leader, because he very clearly is not. I don't want to be, not trying to be mean or anything to Glenn, but just objectively speaking, he's running 22nd. He's not the leader. And it picked up on my screen, and it gets a little goofy during the cautions because of iRacing kind of ticking over every lap. Because we don't count caution laps, it goes forward and then it subtracts, and then I guess just it missed Glenn Sharp once and put him in the lead, so they had to bring it back and get everybody cleared up, but we should be good now, and we got damn good racing up at the top of the racetrack. Reynolds and Plank getting straight into it, and Dominic Roselli capitalized huge, getting a 2-for-1 in turn 1 and 2.
Oh, look at Plank squeeze in. Oh, that got real tight there, and they're all piling in. Reynolds
Isley
is involved. Beagle's got a piece of it. Isley got a huge piece of that. Oh, that was, you know what, a hole that just closed up that was kind of already filled. I don't know much else to say about that. Maybe the replay might say something a little bit else, but that was a tough one to see, Joe. It kind of just looked like Plank had a run and forced the issue, and as he did, the hole kind of closed up with him inside of it. That was just weird to see.
Yeah, the issue was definitely forced with Dean Reynolds. Not Dean's fault. Dean just kind of got put in a rough situation. Let's get that replay back here and check out what happens with the 79 car. He gets a good run, and this is going to be where we go from the middle of 3 and 4. He's going to get a solid run, and I think Dominic Roselli on his inside actually might come up just a little too much for Dean's liking. And
it's almost like that slows him down to allow Plank to get the run. Yeah, no, Dominic. Oh, yeah, they're already into it before Plank even gets there.
Yeah, and he gets in the wall, and he gets squirrely. Dylan Smith tries. does not succeed in avoiding him completely. Yeah, Isley comes into that just big time, and then Isley takes a absolutely fantastic ride along the wall. Let's go back and check this out. He does not roll over, but he wall rode for a bit, and that is very much caution worthy for the 18 car. Tough, Jonathan. That's tough.
Yeah, I hate that. There's a lot of guys that I think we were maybe expecting, not necessarily huge runs from tonight, but definitely runs that I think, this might have been an opportunity to get back in the fight and start mixing it up and maybe gain some points on some of the other drivers kind of nestled in the top 5 on back. But I don't think that's going to happen now maybe we can get kind of get a quick repair and maybe you can make some positions back up. But with over half the race on the books, Joe, it's going to be really hard for some of these guys to get back into it. Single file restart here for this one. Roselli back on it and puts the pedal down. And look at Brewer running that high side. I think he's going to have a pretty good run here on Roselli for the top spot, at least heading into 3 and 4.
He's going to have a chance. Oh, the other Roselli.
Oh.
Man, he went in deep, and he went in with contact in mind. Honestly, that was a big send-in from the 80 car. It did not work for Dominic.
No, it didn't. I was kind of surprised. I'm also kind of surprised that Reynolds didn't have as much damage as I thought, I guess, because he held on to that spot up inside the top 10. I think he's still running 6th. As Brewer now, again, trying that outside and making some gains here. I think he's going to maybe be able to clear and go by Roselli. Roselli's going to sail it in. Slide job. Can't do it.
Can't close him off.
The top spot.
Couldn't close him off, and the race lead goes to the 39B car. He has some fast times to his name thus far this season. He has yet to crack a win. 2 second places to his name so far, and Mike Brewer now leads as we eclipse lap 25 for 47 Technology Night. He leads over Anthony Roselli, who very easily had the first half in his hands. 2 birds, 1 stone. Doesn't matter, Mike Brewer takes it. Lap 26 coming to a close. The top side's the dominant line. There's 2 Rosellis in the top 3, but neither of them are leading, Jonathan.
No, neither of them leading right now. Kind of surprised to see that. I really didn't think Roselli was going to be caught, Anthony Roselli, that is. But now he's under fire from his brother. Dominic Roselli starting to close in. We've seen Dominic suddenly have his car come to life in the second half of this one.
Now is a good time to pull out that really cool drone shot again. And I think what this is going to do is it's going to show us how much time is gained and lost by Dominic Roselli's slide line into these corners. You can see he's completely out of shot, and he might be losing a little bit. Nope, there he is. Look at there. He gets right back into the grasp of his brother, but he doesn't have the momentum to hold it, and he just falls right back again. But he'll come back into the shot, and then he'll fall out of it again. He'll fade just out of the picture, and then one more time, especially in 1 and 2, it looks like he's really sending it in. Yep, there he is again.
Really sending it in. Taking a really aggressive line. This is kind of what I thought I'd see at some point in the night, but you can see Dominic's just not quite close enough to make that maneuver work, and we'll see this time. Oh. Hang on to it. Oh, there's going to be brother-on-brother violence.
Dang, that's crazy. Just to the inside, Dominic Roselli going to try a slider again. Is he going to be able to get up in front of that 7 car? Nope. Van Sickle Electric white-knuckled on the seats here as they are waiting to see if Dominic pulls this pass off clean or if Anthony and him make contact again. This is not the first time the brothers have made contact in this series, and it surely will not be the last. Big slider out of Dominic Roselli. He's got second just for a second. We'll see if Anthony Roselli can put it back on him. No, he cannot.
No, but this changes up the line that Dominic's been running. He's not used to having to start his entry from about a half lane to a lane higher than he normally does, and I think that might bite him here. I don't think he's getting quite the same run off the corner as he has been. I think Roselli, Anthony Roselli, down low is going to have another shot at him here, and look at who's crept into the picture. Brandon Plank up to 4th.
Brandon Plank passed Cody Higbee for 4th place on track. Mike Brewer still leading up front. The Rosellis going at it for 2nd and 3rd place as we run. We got 23 cars on the racetrack, 22 of them on the lead lap. Kenny Coe not making up a ton of time from the back. He's in 18th place. And Brandon Plank just starting to come into grasp of Anthony Roselli as we get closer and closer. Now 5 laps to go for Mike Brewer up front, still running very strong in that top position.
Still running it in the front and kind of driving away with it comfortably. I didn't. I figured the track was going to change. I thought the second half of the race we would see something a little bit different, but I did not expect to see Anthony Roselli's car go away the way that it has. And Brewer, you know, steady Eddie, very patient. And that 39 ride, it's paid off for him.
I saw in the chat of the YouTube stream, there's some Brewer fans in the house tonight. He has yet to eclipse at a checkered flag 2 second places, like I've mentioned. 3 for 5 being the fastest qualifier. He's got some heat race wins to his name, but he has yet to break a MRDR iRacing Series victory. 2 laps to go for him. The Rosellis are occupying each other behind him for second place, with Brandon Plank getting into that picture, and that is what he wants to see if he's got a virtual mirror on. Coming to the white flag for Mike Brewer. Dominic Roselli leading Anthony and then Brandon Plank. This battle looking pretty good, but Mike Brewer up front, nothing to contend with.
Now Brewer is going to handily win this one, assuming he can hit his marks here for the final time through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Anthony Roselli is going to take a charge back at Dominic. I wonder if he will take a swipe at him too after the contact that was made earlier. And here it comes, Brewer for the win. And Dominic Roselli is going to hang on to that second spot ahead of brother Anthony Roselli. Brandon Plank 4th, and Cody Higbee rounds out your top 5. That is a pretty heavy hitting top 5, Joe.
That is indeed a very heavy hitting top 5. And for Mike Brewer to be new to this series, his 5th race with the series, to be the one to come out on top, that is a fantastic showing for him and proves that he is worth contention for the championship, not only because Kenny Coe had a rough go of things tonight, but because he beat both of the Rosellis and Plank and Higbee in that top 5. We're going to give him just a second to cool things down, and then we're going to get to talk to Mike Brewer, which I can see from the chat of this live stream. That is going to be a exciting, well-awaited experience for them. And let's go ahead and get to it. I'm going to try to see if I can find our race winner. It does not look like he is present at this time. I don't know if you see him, Jonathan, here in the chat.
I don't know if I'm missing him. I know things were a little bit divided, and they had some hangout rooms in the Discord that they were using before, but no, I don't see his name popping up, unfortunately.
I'll tell you what, let's give him some time here and see if we can go with 3rd place first. I'm going to hand you Anthony Roselli, Jonathan, and we'll go from 3rd to 1st in this interview run.
All right, let's start with Anthony Roselli then. Anthony, tough break kind of in the end there to get past on that second half of the race. What do you think changed with your 7 car? Because you were so dominant all night long, and then Brewer was able to get to you.
I really don't think he would have been able to catch me if we got that caution there. That's one thing. I really kind of just second guessing myself on what line I should run. That really kind of messed me up. I really should have just stuck to what I was running. It was working in the first half, and then once Dom got by me, I reverted back to it, and then I called back up to him, and we were catching Mike, which stinks. You know, I really needed this win to get that points lead back. But no, we'll get another podium, so you really can't be too upset. But this one definitely stung.
Yeah, a little bit of a stinger for sure. Talk about that tough battle with Dom there. He was throwing some haymakers your way, and not the first time that you guys have tangled, but you're able to at least both keep the ships righted and get to a podium spot when it's all said and done.
Yeah, he seems to like to give me some doors whenever we're racing each other, IRL and on the sim. But we hit square, so it was all good. We kept going. Yeah, I really needed those points, every point we can get. Especially with the 5-point difference between first and second. But see what we can do.
Yeah, and who do you got to thank for yet another performance and really what was to be a dominant night up until that caution?
Yeah, I've just got to thank Randy Johnson, iRacing Setups. Randy does a lot for me, and he helps me out quite a bit, and it's definitely stepped up my game a lot. Dom, my parents, my fiance. Got to thank all the sponsors on the car, you guys and Matt for putting this on. You know, everyone that keeps us going, and keeping our car count high. Thank you guys to all of them.
Well, congrats on yet another great run. I know it's not ultimately the result you wanted, but still a great night for Anthony Roselli, and sending a message that he is still going to be a factor in this title fight when it's all said and done. Now, Joe, I do see that you found our pal Brewer, so should we bring Mike in?
Yeah, if you want, do you want to take them double back, and we'll go with the race winner, and then we'll go to second place?
Sure, let's do that.
All right, so I'll hand you Mike Brewer, and I'll let you go at it again, Jonathan.
Mike Brewer joining us now from Victory Lane, and talk to us about a very strong night for you in the 39.
Oh man, wow! I'm beyond excited, man. I searched most of that race trying to find a good line there. The bottom of 1 and 2, I could get good drive off the bottom, but Anthony, he was just too strong there. So a couple of the restarts, he chose the top there. I pulled him off of 2 there on the bottom a couple times, nothing off of 4. So that last restart, I'm like, I'm either gonna finish second or I'm gonna go to the top and see if I could find something up there. And sure enough, man, it was fast up there. Real tricky, real slick, but hey, we made it work.
Yeah, a lot of speed up there. Did you feel like the track changed a lot? I imagine with a race surface as wide as Charlotte is, and with 23 cars on it, I don't know if this one wears as much as maybe some of those little bull rings that we've been on.
You see, this track is confusing because before it would just be like top 1 and 2 and then a slider line 3 and 4. But I don't know. It all depends on how you guys have it set because I've been here a couple times and it's been bottom dominant. And I thought that was the way it was going to go tonight, especially the way that we ran the track in there in warm-ups. The top was starting to get pretty slick, so I was like, I'll just buy my time and see if the bottom comes in, but it wasn't working. So I don't really like to run the top like that. I like running the bottom, but we put it up there and it worked.
Nice. Well, you know what? You figured it out. You mastered it, and you break through for a win in this very competitive series. Who do you got to thank for the drive here tonight?
Oh, Matt, and all you guys for putting it on. Dino, BRPtv, giving us a place to race. I got a bunch of people watching, Barry and Uncle Ron and Aunt Kelly, Matt, Jackson, sure, some more of the crew was watching. Jared, my cousin Jared, I see him in the chat. So everybody, just for giving us a place to race like this, and it's a ton of fun.
Well, congratulations again on breaking through for that win. Mike Brewer, your winner here tonight from Charlotte.
That's fantastic to see. A great performance from him to get back to victory lane for himself and for this series, to get there for the first time. Guy who did not get to victory lane, but he had a damn good run at it and finally back up into form like this. Dominic Roselli got you here live in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All righty, Dominic. Well, you're one spot short. You put in a good fight to get there, and we kind of called it at the beginning of the night. This looked like a good night for you from the beginning. You just looked like you had a bit of momentum coming into this one.
Yeah, time and good is always big with that top 6, 7, 8 cars that we got that are just so good. So you got to start up front to be up front, and no, that just usually sets the tone. And I got in a good rhythm. And as much as I dislike this place, it seemed to always run pretty well here. So that, just made it for an easy night. Not an easy night, but a decent night.
Yeah, I wouldn't say easy. It didn't look super easy from the outside. And your brother didn't make it any easier for you. We love preying on this because it's good for the publicity and to talk about that little rivalry. It's your brother. You're racing him. You guys made contact. You guys don't play around with each other. You're here to race, and your elbows are out when you guys get to the track at the same time.
Yeah, he moved up. I was kind of running an aggressive line, which, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But he moved up the lap before and pulled away from me, so I thought, oh, there's no way he's going to do his cut down line again, and he did, and it spooked me. But we just kind of bounced off each other, and luckily he didn't wreck or nothing. So I wasn't trying to wreck him that time. At least not this week.
Not this week. We'll hold on to that one maybe for another time. But it looked pretty good out there. Talk to me about the racetrack, because you were definitely the most aggressive with it once it got worked in. These corners are so long. It can be a challenge to run on, whether it's slick or tacky. I find it difficult when it's tacky, but just talk about how difficult it is to find a solid line to make a run like you did at the end of this race once the track wore out, where you could find that grip and make up that time.
Yeah, once it widens out and gets slick, it allows a lot different lines, either up on the wall, way down low, or running like a slider or a cut down line. It just enables everybody's driving style to kind of pick and choose what line they want to run, and that just seemed to be working for me at the time. But at the end of the race, it started to not work, so I was going to have to start searching again. But it's just once it gets slick, it takes a lot more discipline, and you see everybody who's kind of got some talent towards the front there, and everybody who might lack a little bit be at the back when you got to wheel around.
Well, it kind of brings the cream to the top, and it seems like that worked out in your favor tonight, Dominic. P2, not too bad. I mean, we're all trying to win, but second place definitely is not a bad way to carry yourself into Christmas. Who do you have to thank and shout out here for getting that 80 car back on a podium with us?
Yeah, definitely good to be back after a little controversy, but I just got to thank everybody on the side of the car. I thank my brother for not yelling at me after I tried to wreck him, and just you guys for the broadcast. You guys always do a good job. Always like what you guys do.
Well, we're trying to make it look good. You do a pretty good job of making yourself look good off the track and on it, Dominic. Congratulations for the run, and Merry Christmas headed your way as well, brother.
You as well, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. And that is Dominic Roselli out of the 80 car in second place. Good run to the finish. Jonathan, the results are going to come up on the screen for all of our drivers. And I thought it was a pretty good race. It was pretty exciting. And it was, sparing that little time in the middle, it was pretty clean, too.
Yeah, it was. And that led to some really great battles on the racetrack. And kind of some surprising runs. I think, I don't want to say it's too much of a surprise, but Dylan Smith up there in 6th, that's a great effort from him. And how about Jeff Sharp in the top 10 and Dan Smith up in the top 10 as well? Great to see some of the names that we're seeing inside the top 10. And Dean Reynolds, way to hang on after being at the center of some of that chaos.
Yeah, and Dean really could have been somebody we talked to at the end of the night. Unfortunately for him, it didn't quite work out. But, yeah, Dylan Smith had a great night. Dan Smith had a great night. I mean, Joe Matthews got himself back up into the top 10 there as well. It was really great to see some of these names. And the top 5 definitely are 5 drivers that you're used to seeing at least in the top 10, if not in the top 5 for the series. So congratulations to those guys for really, the cream did rise to the top in this one. Ryan Beagle going to be your first one outside of the top 10. DeRitter outside the top 10. I think that's the first time this season that's happened. Sean Green, not too bad of a night from 13th place. Kenny Coe rebounded himself to 15th after that whole ordeal with the start. So he definitely could have capitalized more on getting back into it, and that is going to hurt him significantly in the points championship. We'll have to wait and see just how bad once we tally the final scores. Brian Berger, Gavin Isley involved in that crash, just put his night in the dump, and unfortunately not a good run for him to the finish. Dylan Slider, 2 laps down from 23rd. Cody Harris had some opportunity. That little spin put him in the back, and he never really fully recovered. So that's the end of the story from Charlotte. And we are here. At the end of it, we've been adjoined by Race Control, Matt DeRitter, and I guess at the end of this program, coming into the Christmas season, I'll give the stage to Matt DeRitter if he's got anything he wants to shout out or any kind words he wants to throw at everybody for this holiday season or anything on the race. Hell, I don't know what he's going to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, to start, I think it's pretty cool that Brewer got the win after his close battle with Kenny in that race at Lernerville, I think. So good to see Kenny get the win, and also the 5th different winner in 5 races. So I think that's pretty cool to see from a league standpoint and just how competitive everybody really is. I guess I did want to clear up sort of what happened with the cautions, and I believe Kenny had some equipment failure or something at the start, so he missed the start, and in trying to get him his lap back, I believe there was some mix-up with timing and scoring and wave around, so had to do some juggling around, but I believe the race at the end was pretty exciting, and definitely a whole different world with this new update back in the 10th or so places, so that dust was kicking up pretty good. But
yeah, I would agree with that. Thank you for clearing that up too. We weren't quite sure what had happened, but I figured it was something to do I mean, I figured it was something to do with the timing and scoring. Mine was a little goofed up as well, so definitely glad we got that cleared up. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And Merry Christmas to you as well, brother. And not your best night out there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It happens.
I had a little run in with Dan Smith and just battling hard for 10th and trying to get into that top 10 again for a little streak, but not too bad. And yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody, and hopefully this short little break is relaxing for everyone, and we'll be back next Monday for sure.
We will be back next Monday, so hopefully you can rebound from that, Matt, and go the opposite direction on the scoring pylon. I'll give it to you, Jonathan. If you've got any other final words you want to throw in here on the broadcast about what you saw at Charlotte, how it might feed into Knoxville next week, or anything just you want to shout out about the holiday season, anything you got for us?
First and foremost, just reflecting on some of the things that Matt just had to offer there in terms of talking about just how proud we are of this series and how competitive it actually is. 5 different winners so far. I mean, I feel like that trend's going to continue on. And I'm trying to think maybe who might be that next new time winner. I don't know if you've got a prediction on that, Joe, but for myself, I think there's more than a few names that might get to victory lane still this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we haven't seen Dominic Roselli win a race. We haven't seen Ryan Beagle win a race. We haven't seen Gavin Isley. Gavin Isley doesn't win a ton of races, but he usually can get one done. We haven't seen him do it. Any of the other guys, too, could jump in. I mean, possibilities are endless.
It's such a competitive field, right? And, I think Mike Brewer was one of those guys that we expected to break through based on some of the performance that we'd seen out of him so far this year. And now he is that driver who's done it. And I think the big thing is if you're one of the guys that has won, if you can be that first repeat winner and maybe string off another couple podiums, it might be the difference in a championship fight when it's all said and done.
Definitely. And missing those races or missing a night like this with Kenny Coe brings those other guys into contention. So definitely you got to keep your eyes open and be opportunistic with those points, try to get those wins and be a part of it. I mean, Kenny Coe, Dominic Roselli had to miss a week. Kenny Coe had a rough week here. Higbee had a slow start to the season. All those things are going to play into it as we get closer to the end of this season, but that's on the flip side of 3 more races, which the next of is going to be December 30th, next Monday, before we round out 2024. We've got one more dance with you. The Creative Turnings Nationals will be coming to you from the virtual Knoxville Raceway, so you're going to want to subscribe to BRPtv and hit the bell icon so you know when we go live here on YouTube. Keep up with the Facebook page, BRPtv, and keep up with your drivers. Keep supporting them. Keep supporting all of our partners, Creative Turnings, Southern Ontario Dirt Show, Murder Graphics, MDR Designs, and 47 Technology, the host of tonight's show from Charlotte. I'm going to go down the street, get some Bojangles, maybe hit a cookout for a milkshake after that. It's the South. It's been fun here in the Piedmont, and we got to go out to windy, cold Iowa next time for the Creative Turnings Nationals. But in the meantime, Merry Christmas from us at BRPtv. Happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate that as well. I saw it was falling on the first night of Hanukkah is falling on Christmas, I think, or maybe it was Christmas Eve. I forget exactly. I am personally not Jewish. But to all, a happy holidays, and we will see you in roughly 7 days, once again here on the BRPtv channel. Fantastic time tonight. Always a pleasure. And until then, have a good one with the family. Have a good dinner. Have a good week. Take the time to relax, reset, reflect, and prepare. And we will see you all from Knoxville next time.